Hi Byron, how are you?
I'm good, Sonia. How you doing?
Good, thank you. Today we're going to have a discussion about sustainability.
Wow, big topic.
So, what recent strategies have you seen in retail which are making changes to the environmental impact?
Wow, over the last few years we've seen a lot of strategies. It started with the reduction of plastics. First of all, changing plastic bags. So I lived in Denmark, as you probably know from the last video we did, and that was 20 years ago, and they used to charge for plastic bags. So now everybody charging for plastic bags is normal, and therefore we try and take our own to have reusable shopping bags. That's now spread to packaging, where you can probably see a lot of things now are packed in paper if possible. A lot of foodstuffs are packed in paper, again to reduce the use of single-use plastics, which is one of the biggest contributors to the environmental problems that we have today. In a bigger field, where some retailers are looking towards reducing what's called fast fashion, so making things last longer, building things better, building reliability into design, so things do last longer and less goes to landfill. Of course, we'd like to think that we play a part of that, although this is not an advert for Microfresh, and I'm probably not allowed to say that. Another major factor that's happening is people are looking at the supply chain, so where things are sourced from overseas, especially from Southeast Asia, they're looking at closest supply chains to the UK, typically Europe, and I know in the US they're looking more to South and Central America, which again reduces the environmental impact. So there's a lot of things being done in retail. There's also what we've seen, there's a company we work with, Revivo, who repurpose footwear. So if you go into some big retailers, a major one on Oxford Street, they now have a repurposing department where you can take your old clothing and footwear, they will repurpose it, they will clean it, repair it, and then put it back out on sale or sell it through online sales to make things last longer for the environment.
What advice would you give to a start-up business who aims to be more sustainable?
I think start from the beginning. It's much easier for a startup to be sustainable from the beginning than to get an established business to go backwards and retrofit sustainability. So things like ISO 14001 is all about, essentially it's all about sustainability. So things like your lighting, that you don't have old-fashioned bulbs, you use less energy in your building, you're more energy efficient. And also think about the products that you have. A lot of foodstuffs, especially that are coming out now, are based on natural sources, and we're seeing things like even bags and clothing being based on natural things like hemp and flax, rather than typically things like nylon and viscose, which are not so great for the environment.
Where do you think the footwear industry can improve to become more sustainable?
Well, footwear, I know I went on about this in the last video. Leather is a natural raw material, it's a natural sustainable material, so the footwear industry developed to use leather. And I don't know if you know this, but the biggest use of leather in the world today is in footwear. It's almost 60%. Shoe factories, again, I know in the last 10 to 15 years shoe factories are nothing like they used to be, so they do use things like water-based products where possible instead of solvent-based adhesives. The leathers are more natural, so there's less finishing on the leathers, and also looking at things like the machinery, which does take a lot of energy. When you back part mould a shoe, it goes from typically about 120 degrees to -5. They're now looking at versions where you can do 75 degrees, and that's almost a 50% saving. So shoe factories, they do have a tough time. It's a massively labour intensive process, but they are doing their bit, and I've seen that as I travel around the world.
How do you avoid greenwashing in your business?
We avoid greenwashing our business because some of you may or may not know, but I am a chemist. So this is a brand and a business that's owned and run by a chemist. And by definition, we, as a chemist rather than a businessman or a finance person, my natural values are that everything that we say is A, true, and B, backed up with solid tests and a robust foundation. So anything that we like to claim, we first of all get it passed through our technical department with proper testing with an independent test house, and in some cases with a university. The other thing is that we also work with our clients to make sure that they don't say anything that is what I'd call stretching the truth or greenwashing. So any claims that you see alongside the Microfresh brand have been signed off by our technical team and our marketing team, and that avoids greenwashing in our business.
Lastly, how long do you think it's going to be before everywhere is carbon neutral?
Surely not within my lifetime, I can say that. Carbon neutral worldwide would be, I would guess, at least hundreds of years away. We live in a planet where there are different pressures in different parts of the planet. We can have environmental policies in what we call the West and the First World, which work, and then you go to the Third World and it's just not practical. So there are lots of other factors more than carbon neutral. There's financial issues that you would have to address, things like tax, things like economies are very difficult to equalise across the whole world. So the short answer to your question is I think it'll be 100, if not 100 years.
Very interesting. Thank you so much for your time.